Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group Fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody, to Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. Today, I have Haley Struxness as my very special guest. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Ellen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Haley and I have not only never met, we have never even spoken.
Right? You're like, do you want to do a podcast? Yeah. Email, bada boom. Here we are.
Well, part of that is because I've had Ruben on and he works closely with you. He works with WERQ Fitness. So it was actually his idea. He's like, you should have Haley on. I was like, I would love to. So then I reached out and then we had a quick email exchange about it. And then you said, because I was on it, I was like, can you do this Friday? Da, da, da. And you're like, you're very organized. And I was like, well, I'm somewhere between totally type A and a shit show.
Yes.
Which I proved to you today because you emailed me where's the Zoom link? That's me being a shit show. I forgot you needed the link. So.
No, it's cool. I actually appreciate that so much because you can be both those things because you are. And so am I. I say that lovingly because I too have my organized moments where I'm like, I've got all the things. And then I go out the door with the lunch I packed or without. So I get it.
I mean, I suspect, again, without ever having talked to you a day in my life, I suspect we probably have some similarities. I think you have to be organized and administrative, and therefore also type A to an extent to run a successful business. But also if you run your business at all like mine, I have to work so fast. I have to make such quick decisions that I make mistakes right and left. And I'm just kind of running through my life and my business with my hair on fire. So.
Yes. 100% can relate to that, of course. I mean, game recognizes game. You're a boss woman. Of course, I already, stalked you. And I really thought, how have I never crossed paths with this woman? She's a badass. She's in fitness. She's got her own brand. But yeah, I so appreciate that this connection. So thanks to Ruben and thanks to you for having me on.
You too. And say hi to my cat. She's joining us today.
What's her name?
Oh, she's the stupidest name in the world. Her name is Tootie. I don't know how it's it was Ratatouille because my kids were little and that movie was out, Ratatouille, the Disney movie. And then,
of course, I got kids. I know.
Then I named the cat Ratatouille, but that's too many syllables. So we started calling her Tooie. And then for some reason we added another T in there. And so ever since she was a kitten, she goes by the name Tootie. So she's joining us today. But more about you. I cannot believe we haven't met either. Likewise, you are such a boss lady and I loved stalking you. I've done it 3 times since we booked our episode. I'm let me go look at her again. And then I saw you taking your shirt off last night in your reel I love that so much.
That was a fun moment with Ruben. Yeah, when Ruben and I have worked very closely, together for a long time. And so when the two of us get together, it's basically who can show off more. We try to one up each other in a very fun way.
Amazing. So how did well, I like that you bring some sexuality and I like that you bring some of that into your fitness, both of you. It's really cool. But do you live in Seattle area also then?
No, I'm actually in Kansas City, Missouri. I lived in Chicago for a very long time. So I was there for 15 years, but I actually grew up here in Kansas City, moved back probably 7 years ago. And I've got family here. It's a great place to raise my kids, smack in the middle of the country. So.
How old are your kids?
I have two girls. One is 15. I'm teaching her how to drive now. That's scary. Um, and then my baby just turned 12. So we're in that tween and teen phase.
Oh, dude, I have an empty nest and it's
Oh
crazy.
my gosh. Well, that could be a whole other podcast we could
Yeah.
do on that.
But guess what? I grew up in Chicago also.
Oh, nice. What part of
Yeah,
Chicago?
like the northwest suburbs.
Yeah, that's
So,
nice. I lived in the city for a while and then moved to like Glencoe, kind of northern suburbs area.
um, I think I heard you used to work for Schwinn, but you can get to that when you tell me your story first.
Yeah, shout out to Schwinn. I was a master trainer for a little bit. I love shout out to Doris. Like I
I
got
love Doris.
yeah, Doris is amazing. She was my mentor at Schwinn. And
Oh,
yeah, she got my ass handed to me a couple times by Doris, make
oh,
me a better presenter. Very, very tough, but I learned a lot from Schwinn.
wow. We need to tag her because I've actually, her name has probably come up 3 times over the course of these. You're going to be episode 32. So in 32 episodes, Doris Thews, your name has come up like 3 times.
Yeah,
So
she's one to put on your list if you can nab her, and I'm happy to facilitate if I can. But yeah, she's a boss woman. Talk about someone who's been in the industry for a long time. She'd be a good podcast.
got a good heart too. She's sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, sweet. That's
Work ethic,
that's a hard line too. It's hard to
oh,
be
yeah.
sweet and a badass.
Yeah, yeah. Niceness isn't something I necessarily value as a boss. That probably comes off bad. Kindness, yes, but we got to make tough decisions at our level, so it's gonna be hard.
Okay, so let's dive into your story and how did you find group fitness?
Yes. So I went to University of Missouri in like almost everyone in Kansas City and St. Louis goes to University of Missouri. So when I was in college, I'd already been into like sports and dance like growing up. So like movement, is a value of my families and myself. So when I got to college, I went to the rec center with one of my roommates a lot. And we quickly got addicted to there's this they had a great aerobics program, and there was a format called Fat Burner. And so we would go to Fat Burner and we were front row. We loved that grapevine. And yeah, so that's like where I really got into group fitness, because I thought it was a great marriage of the sporty like athlete in me, and then also on the rhythm side the dancer in me. And it was easy for someone like me to grab onto and really fun. And I'm a cardio junkie at heart, like I love it. So I got my start taking classes there. And then at a certain point, my favorite instructor, Sarah Mijares, I don't know where she is now, but I wish I could find her, because she's the one who said, you should think about getting, certified, to teach group fitness. And I was like, who, me?
Oh, had you ever thought about it before that moment, or was that?
Oh, no. I never really thought about it, because like I'm typically someone who's rounder around the edges. And, at the time I didn't really see myself as, I was very much in shape, but in my head, and at that time, we're talking like 1998, 2000, I thought, and most of the world thought, you had to look a certain way to be, group fitness instructor. So I never looked at myself, and thought, oh yeah, I should do that. But when after she said it, it's all I could think about. And I was like, that would be so amazing. Like to get paid to work out and like be in the gym. Like I thought that was cool, because my first gym job was at Gold's Gym, like when I was 15, cleaning tanning beds and asking adults to pay their gym bill. But yeah, so when she said you should get certified, I said, okay, like how do I do that? And then at my school, my college, there was actually a course where you could get college credit, and they would teach you how to be a group fitness instructor for
Yes, that's definitely still a thing today. Like that's definitely still happening at universities. Almost like it's like even an ACE certification or whatever, you can take the course and then.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, at the end, we took an ACE exam, but we got that build up where we learned how to teach. And then Sarah was my mentor. So I had to teach with her, and I'd get like, assignments, like you have to teach the warm up in this one. And then she'd give me feedback. And once I nailed that, then I got 15 minutes of the class, and slowly I'd build up to a full class. She taught cardio salsa, which I thought was this is kind of pre-Zumba days. Right. And so I was like, this is dope. I love this. And yeah, so I got certified, did that mentorship program at University of Missouri, and then became an employee of the Tiger X, rec center, and I taught cycling and cardio salsa, and I taught fat burner and taught yoga lattes. I have no business teaching something like that, but at the time we taught anything and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's how I got started, and that was at college. And then when I moved to Chicago, I worked at like 5 different gyms while I searched for a real job.
You ever work at Bally's?
Yeah, Bally's Century. Yeah.
I worked at Bally's in Chicago too. My first job was like front desk girl, and I wanted.
What year would that be?
Oh God, let's see. Like, I mean, I don't know, 1993, 95, that 96, kind of in there. But before I'm in the West Coast now. So
I was going to ask you, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Oregon, and I know people like Ruben was just here. He was just here, and he just was like, "Where do you live, girl? Like, there's cows." No, but I'm in Eugene. It's a college town. There are people here. There are people here. And
I've heard of Eugene. I've never visited, but it's famous.
It's actually like a super athletic town. But anyway, we're here to talk about you. But I'm a West Coast, Pacific Northwest. Like, we have the ocean, we have the mountains, and all that stuff.
So jealous and so landlocked.
How did you meet? Well, we'll get into that in a minute, because you haven't told us how you started WERQ yet or anything. But by the way, audience, thank you for tuning in. And we are going to be talking with Haley about how to build a brand, because in case you didn't know, she has built a brand and an incredible program and format and culture. And then also we're going to just kind of touch on like how you all are. We all are a brand. And I don't mean that in the sense of representing a format. Quite the contrary. I mean, you are just representing you. So we're going to touch on that today too. So yeah, I'm excited. Midwest. And then, did you have a family? You have the two girls, daughter. Yeah. So
I was married for a time. I was married in in Chicago. That's where I had my 2 girls. They're born in Chicago. At one point, we all moved back together to Kansas City, because at the time, my husband at that time has family here in Kansas City as well. We wanted to be close to everybody, and then at a certain point, got a divorce, but now we're in a really good co-parenting relationship. He lives like down the street, like 3 minutes. So and my mom and dad still live here. And my mom takes classes with me. She took my class today. So I get to work out with my mom.
Are you kidding? That is amazing. So you're doing all that sexy, like take my shirt off, like in front of mom?
Yeah. I mean, is that weird? I don't know. I don't think it's weird.
I don't know. Like, I don't have that kind of relationship with my mom at all. Like, I grew up in the church, and like sex was like dirty, and like you don't express yourself that way. But like, I don't have that relationship with my daughter. Like, right. I can be myself in front of her, so I could do the take the shirt off. My daughter.
Yes, sexy. Look at you, of course. I guess we're a pretty open family, I suppose. But there are sometimes like when we have Swexy events, when we know it's like there's going to be outfits and cheeks out and stuff like that. She's like, I'll pass. I'll see you next time. So she kind of lets the kids play, a little bit. But like my mom's getting it. She is 70 plus. And she's lifting weights now, and she's gotten stronger working out with me, and like seeing her dance and do this, like, these hip hop and like she's dancing to Megan Thee Stallion. I'm like, this is amazing.
That is beautiful. That is so awesome. And
I'm really lucky.
So lucky. So is your dad still around?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's there. He doesn't dance and he like with me. But back in the day, you know, he used to dance in the driveway after getting, you know, home from a bike ride or something. And we're a very musical family too. So we've got, you know, rhythm and dance in our blood. I do have, my sister lives in LA. She was in like Broadway for a while and now it's like in entertainment. And my brother lives in Florida. So we're kind of like,
You're all nice. Oh, so okay, then how did take me that so we know you worked at Schwinn for a little while, like then how did you go from rec center to
yes.
Schwinn?
Yeah, so I taught at the rec center at Mizzou for a long time. And then at some point I was like, man, I need to, you know, just go start my life. I did take a slight detour after college and I was in the Peace Corps for a couple of years. I lived in Africa. And I had nothing to do with fitness there because, you know, it was what it was. But when I got back from the Peace Corps, I, you know, reconnected with my then boyfriend, but I ended up, you know, marrying him. But he lived in Chicago. So I was like, Chicago sounds cool. Let me move there. Oh. And so I moved to Chicago and like, while I was searching for a real job, I was like, oh, I'll just work at a few different gyms. It'll be fun, you know? And when I got to Chicago, the pay bump was really great. I was used to making like $8.15 a class at the university. And then when I moved to Chicago, they were like, I will pay you $30 a class. And I was like, yeah, that was big. And for some, I mean, some people that would still be great for a fitness class today.
No, but wait, little tiny side note, just because of our audience is all group fitness instructors. And that is a great point. Like we don't all make the same amount of money. It's not necessarily related to talent. I mean, it is of course to some degree, but it has a lot to do with your geography, the demographic and big cities, you know, Chicago, LA, they're going to pay quite a bit more than like even Portland, Oregon, the pay is twice as much as it is here in Eugene. So anyway.
Yes, it has more to do with geography than it does with talent. I mean, all clubs will be like, we only want rock stars, but they don't all pay, let's be real, they don't all pay rock star price. But yeah, that was kind of a shock when I moved to Kansas City. I was used to Chicago rates and I had, you know, worked my way up the chain in Chicago and built my brand there, which I know we're going to get to later. But when I moved to Kansas City, I was like, okay, that's the rate. All right. And cost of living is much different here, but it was still a little bit of a sticker shock, reverse sticker shock or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, my rate is interesting. Sometimes I teach for free, sometimes for special events, it's a lot more. So rates are all over the place depending on where you are and what the gig is.
Okay, so you tried to work at some gyms in Chicago.
Yeah, I did. Cheetah Gym. I got to shout out to them always because I learned so much from them. They're a chain of 3 gyms. They were 3 gyms at the time. Now they're 1 gym. But they're like a neighborhood gym with a very like, you know, tight-knit community. But that was just one of, you know, 4. I worked at Equinox. I worked at Presidential Towers. Like some of these don't. I worked at Bally's. And taught a lot of cycling. I have biked like all my life, and so indoor cycling has always come naturally and easy to me. And I've always taught some form of cardio dance. It was cardio salsa for a while because that's how I it was taught. And then at some point when I was working at Cheetah Gym, they were like, hey, can you teach Zumba? And I was like, I don't know, probably, what is it? and because it was very new and I hadn't really tuned into, you know, actual formats. I didn't know about that then. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds like cardio salsa. And so they're like, okay, you're going to teach it on this night. And I said, fine. And then once I got started teaching it, I was like, oh man, you have to have a certification to call it Zumba. You know, I should probably get that because I do, you know, I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so at one point I got Zumba certified. Okay. It's probably would have been like 4 years into teaching.
Okay.
And when I went to that training, I was like, dang, there's like 70 people at this.
And that was probably Zumba in its heyday.
Oh yeah, peak. It was going up. It was still going up. And I was still like,
I don't think it is anymore. I think it's going down now.
Yeah, I think it is like every trend. I
Yeah,
think Zoom's doing a good job of riding the wave, right? They had this huge wave and now it's so huge, they're still riding it and it'll take a while, for it to come down. But yeah, a lot has changed since Zumba started, that's for sure. But yeah, I looked around at that training and I was like, there's no way everybody here is teaching. This is wild. But yeah, so at some point I got Zumba certified and so taught at Cheetah Gym, all the things. And then with Zumba, I liked doing my own choreography because I grew up dancing. I took jazz and tap and ballet. And then when I was in Chicago, I took a lot of hip hop. Like as an adult, I had some dispensable income. I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to learn? And growing up here in Kansas City, in late 80s and 90s, it wasn't like studios didn't offer hip hop. Like it just wasn't a thing. And so as an adult, I was like, I really want to take that. I really, really want to take that. And I really enjoyed developing choreography for my, Zumba classes. And I saw that there's a lot of Zumba teachers out there and some of the some of the choreography I was seeing kind of like lacked some like, so I would share my choreography with all the Zumba instructors I knew. And so that's how I started to gain some traction there and be like, okay, people like this. Like people really like this.
Okay, are you going to take this into starting to want to do that into building WERQ Fitness? All right, let's do it. I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear this.
Yeah. So here's the moment.
How old were you at this time in your life?
This was, let's call this like 2008, 2009. So I would have been like 28, 29. Yeah, so like approaching 30. I had a full-time job in a completely different industry, but I was still working my gym jobs. I just always had, I probably taught 17 classes outside of my full-time job because I just, like I said, I'm kind of a cardio junkie.
Yeah.
Good energy behind it. So yeah, so with Zumba, like I started doing my choreography and I would post it on YouTube. Yeah. And this was back in 2008, 2009. So YouTube is there, but it's not what it is now, And so I remember posting, I had a few videos on there. Snake Charmer and Rude Boy were on YouTube. Okay. And my Rude Boy video got 1 million views. And that's the one where I was like, and I didn't study business. I didn't go to business school, but my business brain, there's something in here. So I was like, this could probably be a thing. And I had a really big ego too. I was like, I can do this. I got some, a kind of a big head, for a moment, and not in a terrible way, but I think in a way you kind of have to have an ego to do your own thing. So once I got 1 million hits, I was like, shoot, I wonder if, I could do this, because I really did. I love merengue, I love salsa, I love cumbia, I love all the reggaeton, and world rhythms. But I felt kind of limited in that I really gravitated to pop and hip hop, and the hip hop classes I was taking was such a huge influence on my life at the time. There was something that really resonated, it's the started from the bottom mentality. I was just like, man, I like this. So I thought, and at the time, nothing was scratching that itch. There was no format that did pop and hip hop. Zumba was very strict about it could only be this much of your class compared to the other. Yeah. Right. And I respect the brand. I respect what the rules were. And I didn't want to, I saw a niche. I saw a lane, over here. And so I started to put my more choreography together that was just straight pop and hip hop. And I was teaching at WERQ Dance Studio in Chicago, and I had kind of more of a rental situation. No one was managing me. It was just my class, and I could teach whatever. So one day I showed up. They were expecting Zumba, which was what we were doing. But I said, hey, we're going to try something new. It's called WERQ. And they're like, that sounds hard. I don't know if we want to do that.
So you had already come up with the name and everything?
I did, yeah. So my family is like very big on like wordplay and puns, and I don't know, it's always kind of like a game we do. And so when I started to think about what I wanted to name it, that was where I went with it. And because I saw the ability to do homework, after work, workforce.
Yes.
Like there's just,
Yes.
right? You see it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'd run it by my sister beforehand because she's very much in the dance world. And I was like, what do you think about this? And immediately she was like, yeah.
Okay, so you drop it onto your class that night.
I drop it on the class. At the time, I only had 30 minutes of just pop and hip hop choreography. So I was like, we're just going to do this. We finished it. And of course, they do what people do, right? When you bring them something new, at first, they're like, I don't know. We want what we know. But at the end of it, they were like, are we going to do it again next week? Can we do more? And so the response was really great. I just needed that kind of, proof of life, I guess, proof of concept for me to know, like, this is the direction I'm going. And so I started to develop more choreography for it. I trademarked WERQ. And at the time I did have a business partner, which we could talk about over here if we want.
Or another episode.
Yes, part 2. Yeah. So, so trademarking, figured out music licensing, how am I going to do the website, and I wrote the training program.
You're basically the same person, just so you know.
I mean, I was looking at your website, which is beautiful, by the way. It's very organized, and you've got a lot of formats going, which is really impressive. But yeah, so the training program I wrote then was like 6-page Word document. And I invited like my industry friends. I'm like, do you want to get certified in my program? And so, for 4 hours we met at Cheetah Gym. I had a good relationship with them. I was like, can I just borrow the studio for this thing I'm trying to develop? And they're like, yeah. And they let me do a lot of creative stuff for free, which I'm grateful for.
Love that.
And so I, pretty much read the 6-page
the certification was just you reading your
I've come a long way. I promise you our training is way better now. And so I read to them, and at the end,
that could have been your confession, is that you like read the 6 pages. That would have been great. Okay, go anyway.
Don't worry, I have plenty of confessions.
Okay.
Too many. Yeah, good thing we have an explicit rating too. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so at the end of the training, they're my friends. So what are they going to say? They were like, yeah, this is great. And a few of them joined our workforce, which is what we call our instructor program. And that's the route I wanted to go. I saw what Zumba was doing with a subscription format that, I thought it was brilliant. It was the only one of those. It was the only program doing it like that at the time. Most programs licensed the gym, right? And no one was licensing the instructor. And I thought that was a very smart business model, because
totally scalable.
Instructors we're a company of one. So I was like, okay, let's focus on them. And so we built the program out then. And I built my first website on Wix.
Yeah.
Shout out Wix.
I built my first website on Weebly. See, parallel lives, carry on.
yeah, like you just figure it out, right? Yeah, there was no startup capital, there was no team. This was HR, IT, PR.
I'm tech support, I'm the marketing department, I'm the web designer, I'm the choreographer.
Yes.
I'm the janitor, but we don't have a building. So I've
been that too. That's the worst job in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. So we started really just with 3 or 4 instructors, and a few of them are still in the program, and we're 13 years old. So I think it's pretty cool that they're still in there. And we've developed a lot, since then. And back then it was myself and my business partner were the only ones doing choreography. But now we have a team of 12 choreographers around the country. Ruben is one of them.
Yes.
Of course, he's been on your podcast. So life looks a lot different now for WERQ Fitness than it did when we first started 13 years ago.
So you started with like no overhead, like just, you didn't go into debt to
No, not initially, but I've run it up many a time.
Okay. The reason we haven't met before today is because you've been doing this longer. Like WERQ is 13 years old.
It
So
is, yeah.
I started Warrior in like 4 years ago. So, and then, you know, the bulk of that was in a pandemic. So it's not like I was out gallivanting around the
I was just thinking about that when you said 4 years. I was like,
yeah.
it's
So it's
tough.
really like in honestly, like I'm still a new baby, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think like, they say businesses take 3 to 5 years to like really hit their stride. And I would say we took a lot longer because I was not able to do it, full time out of the gate. I had a full-time job. I, had, babies along the way. I had other responsibilities. And so there was a time where, I left my full-time job in environmental protection. It was a completely different industry, and I jumped to management at Cheetah Gym. They needed a group fitness director. And my boss at the time, he was the former group fitness director. He, like, it took a year, but I told him, I was like, hey, I'm looking for something, leadership in fitness industry. I'm tired of this industry. I have more energy over here. And I was like, hey, just keep me in mind. I have no management experience, but I know I could do it if you show me the ropes. And so a year after I told him that, he said, hey, I'm leaving my job. I'm going to a different industry. And are you interested in my job? And I was like, yeah, definitely. I'd love to interview. And he's like, well, there's no interview. You just have the job if you want it. And I was like, amazing. This is how Cheetah Gym operated. It was the perfect place for me.
yeah.
Yeah. So they hired me to run 3 different group fitness programs, 140 classes a week, 80 instructors.
Yeah.
Personalities.
I've done that. I've been doing that. I just recently gave up my management job too. So that's
good job.
I know it felt so good. It feels good.
Yeah, management is hard. I learned a lot as a leader.
Oh God, I'm so glad. I learned things in there that translate. Like we were talking about being nice or being kind, but being a boss, like you can't be a group fitness manager and not have like a major backbone because you can't, like it says a lot about someone if they're a group fitness manager. And I know we have quite a few that listen in on the show too. But you have to have hard conversations with your instructors, with members, like with your higher ups. I mean, it's not a position you can have if you like think you're gonna please everybody. So it was good for me. Like it helped me like manage like my crew now, it's a lot of the same skills.
It really is. I think too, what group
And
fitness,
honing and developing talent, of course, like that aspect.
yes. Yeah, because a lot of people don't just show up, as at your doorstep, fully, badass, best instructor. Like you do have to develop them and mentor them a little bit and guide them. And but I think one of the things I learned from being a group fitness director that helped me with my current job, and run my own business and team is that, it taught me a lot of like patience and empathy and to adopt more of a curious mindset, because as a new group fitness instructor, I was raised very like take no shit, see a problem, fix it, act, woman of action. And while that's great, it does not, I didn't have room, or I didn't, have curiosity about people's situation. Like, well, what's making them constantly late? And, what is the root cause of the problem? And, why is it that they're, not teaching great, or they haven't changed their playlist in 100 years? Like, what's going on? So I learned a lot from that, in that to ask questions, like when there's a problem, like ask questions and make room for the human side of things as well, and the feelings.
Yes, I love that you're saying that. That is an area that I struggled as a leader and manager. And I know I struggled because it was the one thing that I had to remind myself the most. I didn't use the terms to myself that you used about having more curiosity, but I would just continually tell myself, have grace, have more compassion, have more grace, have more compassion. And I would tell myself that because I struggled with that. But before I would make a phone call or
Right.
walk into a meeting, it was just, or, just have more grace and more compassion. So that's great. That's a great tidbit. Man, we could have done a lot of different episodes. We could do one on group fitness management. No, but
Yeah.
so then you gave up, or so then you took that hat off to go full-time work.
Yeah, I did. At a certain, so I am grateful for, that experience for sure, and being in that leadership position, because it also afforded me, the ability to add work to a schedule, right? That's not, I didn't rent it. So there was a garbage time slot at one of the gyms. Nothing was successful there. So I was like, perfect. I have nothing else. We've tried everything. I'll put my, because I was careful not, it's kind of a conflict of interest to have your own brand and manage.
Yeah.
So I was trying to be mindful of that, and then also be like, well, this is my last ditch effort. So I put my class on a Thursday at noon at this location. And for 6 weeks, no one showed up. And not for lack of marketing. And like by the seventh, I was already telling myself, group fitness manager to instructor, I was like, hey, if you don't start getting numbers next week, we're cutting it. There's no point. And so then 3 people showed up. And so then I made a bet with one of the managers there. I was like, by the end of the summer, I'm going to fill this place. It's going to sell out. Okay. And if I sell it out,
not easy to grow numbers in the summer, as everyone knows.
Thank you. Yes. All of us instructors know, we're like, start something in the summer.
Yeah.
But I bet him, and it wasn't a big studio, like 22 people would be sold out. So I was like, if I fill this up, when I fill this up, you're going to take my class front row. Cause he was like, not a dance fitness, he was like more of a CrossFitter type. Yeah. And I was like, just wait. And so I filled it up. I padded the room a little bit. I did invite my mom and a couple of friends. But we did it, and I ran to get him. I was like, we're sold out. Get your butt in here. And so he took the class in jean shorts, front row, and it's like,
that is amazing.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for Cheetah for letting me like mess around and start my business. And I appreciate that leg up, because I had no money. But at some point, I needed to graduate from Cheetah in order to put more into the business. And because if I'm working full time over here, and how it is as a group fitness manager, there's always a need for a sub.
It's a 24/7 job. Like, yeah.
There's no such thing.
5 a.m. It's 11 p.m. It's Sunday afternoon. Like, yeah.
It never turns off.
It does.
But yeah.
Wonderful. Right. But
yeah. So, I exited Cheetah in a good way. We're still in good terms. I'm with my boss there. And then I did some, in-home personal trading, that I could, do my own schedule, and still, I wasn't fully making money yet with work, and I still needed to like build that up. So I did the whole juggle part-time job, and, and sorry, you're going to hear my Biscuit. You want to say hi?
Yeah, let's here. Look, we both have our animals. Oh my goodness.
Hi, you want to say
hi, guys? That's adorable. I'm gonna have to screenshot that. That's so cute. Okay. For the people that are listening on audio, which is almost everybody, we were just holding up our animals. That's your dog?
Yes, that's Biscuit. She's a little weirdo. And she's everywhere.
I know. Same. I'm covered in hair now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I juggled like part-time jobs, but then at a certain point, I really wanted to get serious about work, because I knew if I couldn't, devote myself full time to it, it's not something that I wanted to, like, I really wanted to blow it up, as best I could, in a big way. And so, long story short, I had a business partner at the time. We parted ways because we were just kind of like polar opposites, and I had a different vision for the brand. So we parted ways. And when that happened, I was able to like quit my, all my other jobs, focus on work, full time, and hire people. That's where the biggest struggle is. She didn't want to hire people, and I was like, we got to hire people. So I hired my right hand. Shout out to Katie. She's our COO, and she's been here since, like over 10 years now with WERQ. yeah, so I hired her. I hired trainers as well, because I was like, man, I travel. Like I can travel. I've done tours where I'm like visit 28 cities in a year. I've done turn and burns, rip and runs where I go, certify and come back, to tuck my kids in. And that's a very hard life. So having trainers was a game changer. Having more choreographers like opened up our library big time. So it wasn't like I'm me. So like I do try to expand my knowledge of and bring different things to the table where dance is concerned. But we move how we move. So having other choreographers was a game changer as well.
That's so cool. Amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's think about where I want to go from here. So the kind of like topic of our episode is about building a brand, which clearly you did and just walked us through. Do you have anything you would want to say to our audience about how to build a brand that could relate to them? Like you and I have a format, but that's pretty unusual. Like that's probably not the majority of our listeners. They're group fitness instructors. And so, but they are all a brand. In fact, I was just talking to one of my close friends and instructors yesterday.
Yeah.
And she was talking about wanting to invite some of the members to something and was like, is it okay if I get their emails? I was like, yeah, ask them for their emails. You're the brand. Like, but she was like, doesn't that privilege like belong to the club? I was like, are you kidding? I've got text threads for this class that, take my cycle on Friday. We've got a text thread. I've got a text thread for this group. I've got a text thread for the members that might want to go like to the restaurant with me. So do it. Like you're the brand. And like another thing, and I don't want to talk much here, but I'm because I've said this to our audience before, but there was a time in my life where I was using, so this friend, I was like, the facility, yes, you love it and we love it, but it isn't you. It's just a piece in the backdrop, in your tool belt of who you are. You're the brand. And I obviously didn't always know that and believe that even about myself, because when I used to work for Beachbody, which is what I was doing back when you were starting WERQ Fitness, I thought that was so cool and everything, my roles and stuff there, that I thought that that was my identity fully. Like, and so I didn't realize at that time that that was just a piece in the backdrop. That was just part of the setting, the context behind me.
Sure.
And so when it went away, I didn't go away. Like my brand didn't go away. And so talk to us about that maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you talking about like how to build your own, I call it kind of your own personal brand, versus your own format. We are in the age of, everybody is a brand, thanks to social media. It matters, it really does. I think that if you are a group fitness instructor and you're not on social media, I think that's okay. And that's your choice. But I think it's going to limit you in many, many ways. And so if you're a group fitness instructor who's interested in, professional development and growing in the industry and, really building your own personal brand and who you are, I think it's going to take you to higher heights and bigger places than simply teaching a class as an employee of a gym. It's no secret that most of us do this. It's a labor of love. We are not paid six-figure salaries, and you cannot, I don't want to deter anyone, like if you want to just teach 40 classes a week, I think there's a way to do it, but I think it's very, taxing even if you're just coaching those classes, you're still on, you are very much on for those times. And I think that that's a good way to burn out. So to develop your, you and I have formats, right? Which is a brand on itself. And frankly, I think, at this point, WERQ could probably, exist. It is not just me. It is a lot of people. But you and I both have personal brands as well. I mean, look at you, like you can look at your aesthetic and just see, like, get a vibe, right? Mm-hmm. The hair, the earrings, the tattoos, it's all very rebel. It's on, on brand for you.
Yeah.
So It's related to your professional, yes, the nails, yeah. So it's related to your format and professional brand, but it is not the same. It's adjacent. So when I put that in terms of my own business, and the podcasters go stalk me. I'm on social media for a reason. You can find my format WERQ Fitness, WERQ, and then me, I exist as Haley, HALEY.WERQfitness on Instagram. And so you'll look at my feed and you'll see the influence there. It's very much related to work. I dance all the time. But I also have other things that are important to me and things that I like that are not, work. And I think that's important if you're an instructor who wants to develop your own brand, but also, your personal brand as well. I think it's important that those things be different and that you're multidimensional. You're not just one note, because, what I've learned from owning this business over 13 years and existing, surviving COVID, honestly, a time where a lot of our industry was affected and done. I'm really happy to be here, but like, if I'm wrapped up and all I am is this one thing, then, it could really cause big problems in my life. It's not, how like smart people are like, you need to diversify your portfolio. Don't
Yes,
invest in one stock.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah. So to your point, like how to build your own personal brand, it begins with get a blank page, and you're going to dump out, what do you love? What do you care about? What are you passionate about? How do you spend your time? Who matters to you? Like, and think about deeper things, true. Like, what do you value?
Yes.
So to put that in terms of me, like I'm a feminist at heart. I'm an independent woman, inclusivity is important to me, in, body positivity, and wear the shorts, do what you want, put on the crop tops, screw the rules. That's exciting to me. That's at my core. And so when I think about my personal brand, like I want to make sure that comes through on my social media. And so that my personal brand doesn't have to, look like your viewers or your readers out or your listeners out there. So like the most important thing you can do, and this is not new advice, but it really is true, like figure out who you are, right? What you stand for, how you spend your time, and do that. And it's not going to be for everyone. And that's good. You need to find your niche.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's excellent advice. So if I was taking you up on your advice right now, and I got a pen and paper and was brain dumping, here's some of the stuff that would come out for me. I feel pretty dialed in now at this age and station in my life to like who I am and how I want to like show up in the world and how I want to represent myself. But like, I love that you use the word adjacent. So some of these things like actually do reflect in what it is to also be a warrior and what that means to me. And some of it is superficial, like an aesthetic and a look, being edgy, being different, not wanting to look like everyone else, like wanting to stand out. And then some of it is not superficial. It's things like, I don't want to be someone who gossips. I want to be a leader that trains, that isn't trying to get a bunch of like fans and followers, but I want to be the kind of leader that like really tries to elevate other people, even in front of me. Like, so what gives me chills, but like, those are kind of things. And then like, I'm an artist, I'm an animal lover, but guess what? Being an artist also reflects on being a brand and a creator and someone that writes choreography. And so, just kind of writing all those, and it's, it's our best, it's like how we want to show up. And I think it's okay and even good to look at other people that you like and are attracted to, and let that influence, not that you're going to imitate them and try to knock off who they are, because that's not going to work, but it's okay to be influenced by people in our industry and people outside of our industry. Like I look at Beyonce, like I want to be, so.
Yeah. I think that's a great point you make, is like, I think that's a good question to ask yourself too, is like, who do you admire? Who do you look up to as well? And like really think about what is it that you admire about them, and who do you look up to? And like, this is a tougher question too, is like, because like people get kind of shy away from like jealousy, right? Or talking about jealousy, it's a negative emotion. But like if you're a group and fitness instructor and you're out there and if you look at someone and you get jealous of them, maybe they're in your industry, or maybe you look at them and you're like, oh man, they have 100,000 followers and I have 900. I think you should explore that and really think about like, well, what is it that you're jealous of there, and explore that a little bit. And because that's saying something about yourself. There's something out there that you want for yourself, but you don't have it yet. And then I'm not saying imitate or do what they are doing, right? But you can look and see like and note, well, okay, they put it all out there. The good, the bad, the raw, they're on with no makeup or whatever. They're authentic to themselves. So then how you would apply that to yourself is like, well, what is the realest parts of me, and how can I share that more, with people? Because that's when it comes to personal brand, like you're selling yourself basically, like, and people you sell to are real people who want to relate to you. So I think that's something I've learned over the last several years with social media, is that I'm 44. So the rate and the way I was raised, it was not obviously on social media. And even when I began my company, that social media was like, there was Facebook ish, and she's getting the zooms. So, but now, people share a lot on social media. And for me, I'm a very, like, if it's a negative emotion, I like to process it quietly and with trusted people, in my close, like, inner circle, or talk about, I was raised not to talk about sex, money, politics, religion, all those things. But I've shifted a little bit in the last few years and taken more chances on sharing my opinions and, really leaning into my sexuality and, what it is to feel feminine and a woman, and, just like wear what I want. And that's very scary at first. And I think that some of the things that scare you but are still you, like vulnerability is really important when you're building a personal brand as well. And sharing that, it's a little scary, but I think that starts to catapult you as someone who's, not as scared, but still doing the tough, still putting yourself out there.
It is very scary. It is very scary to be unique and to express that to the world, because it's like you're like naked in front of people, like for them to potentially judge. And the internet isn't always a kind place, so it is scary. Like, it is scary. It's also very liberating and very attractive. It's very attractive.
That's a really good point.
Even if people maybe don't like your what you're putting out there all the time, they will respect that you have the courage to be yourself. No?
I agree. Like, and really focusing on those people who care about what you have to say and listen, like those are your people. And so like I think about I also want to encourage your listeners who are, developing their personal brand as well, is that, a big follower count doesn't necessarily translate directly to dollars either.
Right.
So you can, if you look at like someone with 100,000 followers, they may make some money off that. They may not. But like you can develop a brand for yourself with, like, I have maybe 8,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm not on TikTok like a lot of people are as well. Like, WERQ has an account, but I'm not like on it. And so, I don't have the millions, I don't have the 100,000s, but we have a lot of those 8,000 people are very engaged. Yeah. They're into what I have to say. And the same thing on the flip side, the format, side, WERQfitness has 12,000 followers. So not a lot by influencer count, but not a little either. But the amount of people in our community who are engaged and care about what we're talking about, like that's really important. So like the sharing out or the saves, I think, are a much more important metric than, you know, the vanity numbers, how many likes and how many people are following it, you know.
This is slightly off the topic of building a brand, but it does relate to social media and something I thought of when you started to talk about it. Cause like maybe there are people that aren't on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But I did want to add as a complete just side point here while we're talking about it. Being on social media is even just like one platform. So Instagram is my favorite place. Like I have a community there that I hang out with daily. And you're gonna end up being part of that now, I'm sure.
I definitely, I'm into Instagram.
The algorithm is gonna put us right together. But there's people that I love on every day, but if we take it just to our classes, it is a way that I can show them my care when I take pictures or videos in class. And we've talked about that on other episodes about how to go about that and getting permission and blah, blah, blah. But when I am able to capture content of them in my classes and stuff, it's just such a great way for me to show them that they're like my favorite part of the day. They are the highlight of my day. And also, as I'm getting to know new members or meet people at a conference, it is a way for me to connect and remember their name. Like if I wasn't connecting, if I wasn't making like deliberate efforts to connect to people on social media, it would be harder to remember their name. And then if I want to retouch them or talk to them in a more meaningful way, and I see, because I am following them, that like they're daughter had a 7-year-old birthday the day before, and I say something about that the next time I see them, it's just such a way to show care. So it's not all it's part of building a brand and building a community and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that connection is super important. And well, and beyond, we can put social media over to the side, where branding is concerned. And think about, there are other ways to obviously build your own personal brand. Like I sleep on networking, like people don't give it its due, but like good old fashioned networking is
like
how
face, you mean?
Yeah, I mean face to face. I mean, like take meetings and go to coffee and I know we're in Zoom land now, so much after the pandemic, it's just more, it saves time. And but that's the new networking too, is like when I first got started, even before I started WERQ Fitness, like I knew I just wanted to be more than an instructor. I think being an instructor is great, but I've always had I guess this ambition to be, a leader, or just like know more about the job and the industry than just like come do it and go. So like I would get to know, like in Chicago, I made it my job outside of being an instructor to know, where are the clubs and who are the group fitness directors at, Equinox and Lifetime and the little gyms and the dance studios. Like I would try to get to know them and reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm a nobody, but I see what you're doing over here. I really like this best butt ever concept that you guys have developed. Like, can we get together and talk about that? Or, like I just wanted to learn more and do more in the industry. So like good old fashioned networking is a great way to build your relationships in the field that you're interested in.
Yes, that's such a good point. And I mean, everyone who's listening obviously is the kind of person that wants to be better and learn more. Otherwise, you don't tune into a podcast like this. So this it's like, I love that about the audience, is like, these are people like us, Haley. These are instructors that are talented. They feel like there's something special about them. They want to level up. I mean, so it's pretty awesome. And so, yeah, I would say like, for years, I've known every single group fitness coordinator and the owners of the clubs in town. Start there. Like you should know them and they should know you. You want to build good relationships, even if you're not working like if they need an instructor and someone, like it's good to be just a leader in your community, not just in your gym. And then sort of off the topic of like that in-person networking, but on the topic of building a brand outside of social media, is even in the way you show up in your own class as an instructor that is different from all the other names on your schedule, is your personal brand showing up. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Is like being yourself, like in, that's how you grow a following too. We're group fitness instructors. We have a big ego. We're here to like have big classes and connect with people, even if there's 3 people in the room or 300, we want to connect with them. And so showing up, excited for, plan your class and you're excited and share that with them, and learning names and learning about their lives and checking in on them, like, glad to see you, we missed you last week, stuff like that is really important to develop your following as well.
I was gonna say something else about oh, you know how you were saying it's scary? Like it's a little bit scary to put yourself out there and to be different and to figure out like who you are and how you want to show up in the world and all that stuff in your most authentic self. It is scary, but like as you find acceptance in it, it actually, I don't even know how to say this very articulately very well because I haven't finished formulating the thought in my head, but it's like it ramps up really quickly your level of confidence behind those things. Like, I mean, I guess a microcosm of it would be like when you started your class and had 3 people, and then by the end of the summertime, it was full. And I was thinking about like when I first started getting tattooed, I was 36. And I was, at the time, Beachbody was pretty like, we had this rule that you couldn't show any boobs, any beer, boobs, or butt. Like they were pretty like, we had to be pretty straight-laced looking. We had to be pretty zipped up, no crazy hair. And, I couldn't have like hair in my face. Like everything was pretty like polished looking all the time. And it was terrifying for me because I was decided to start getting tattooed, and obviously I went crazy, but I thought that I would lose a coveted opportunity, which was being in their instructor videos. I thought once they started to see that I was doing that they would not want that to represent them. And I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. It was like a very like hard thing. Like I can not get a bodysuit tattoo and keep doing the most exciting thing in fitness I've ever dreamt of in my life. Going to LA, filming in AFA studio, feeling like a little rock star, the most thrilling, like I thought that would be the zenith, the pinnacle of my fitness career ever. And I was willing to lose it. Like I made a decision, I'm gonna cover my body. If they don't want to put me in their videos anymore, then
that's on them.
It's on them. But it didn't work out like that. They were like, cool. You look weirdo, great.
But you just hit on something really great, is that by doing that, by choosing the scary thing, but like that at your core, your gut was like, this is what I want, so be it. That just like self-assured that then, what you were worried about didn't actually happen.
Right.
And you got to be yourself and do the thing that, you were excited about. And so in doing that, you just, assured yourself that your gut is smart. Your gut is right. And because you followed that, that's like, another level and confidence that I think that, if there's one takeaway from, this podcast, I think that's it, is that, being true to yourself and your heart's desires, fear holds us back from so many things. But what's the quote? Like everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, is that, it's okay to be scared, like, but do it anyway.
Do it anyway. And it might not work out. Like, let's say they were like, oh, no, then they wouldn't have been the right company for me, or the same thing in our relationships. If we lose a friendship over us becoming more boldly ourselves, then that's not the right person for our life. So
yeah, tough lesson, but you're right.
I know we need to wrap. So I just, in kind of closing, tell us like about the WERQ certification. Do you have virtual trainings? Like, what if someone was interested in becoming a WERQ dance instructor? What does it entail? It's hip hop dance. Like, how would you describe it? Give us just a quick lowdown.
Yes, let me give you the rundown. So WERQ Dance Fitness is the wildly addictive cardio dance fitness format based on pop and hip hop music. It's all like late, the trendy stuff. We give new choreography every single Friday. So new drops, when there's new music, we drop new choreography. So you never run out of, fresh new choreography. So it is a little bit different in that it is pre-choreographed. All the choreography is done for you. But like I said, we have 12 different choreographers, all with different styles. So it's cool if you hate some of the stuff we do, but I guarantee that, you'll have more than you could. But I haven't even done all the songs. And I'm the owner of this thing, creator of it. But yeah, we have 1,500 choreographies in our library at this point. And
Ruben was telling me that the instructor can just like piece together their own playlist from that, like this song.
Yes. Oh, that's the most fun part, is that, if you're a theme class type person, you can do all sorts of themes. Like, around Thanksgiving, we do a food theme class. So it's all about cake and all these, and it's all about the food. And yeah, we've done, special releases for, Pride choreography. We've done special releases for, we do Holislay every year. So around the holidays, we, choreograph some new ones to put in our, so we have themes for days. But yeah, the instructor that's what makes it, there's a lot of room to be you and differentiate your class, even between WERQ instructors. Every class looks, very different. But the choreography, the integrity is pretty high and the quality is high because I review all of it. Except my Chicago crew, they've been with me for so long.
They get a pass.
The wheels are off.
Oh.
They self-evaluate. But yeah, so the instructor can piece a playlist together themselves. So the songs you love, the choreographies that resonate, choose those. If there's something you could live without or you don't like it, you don't have to do it. And then to become a certified WERQ Dance Fitness instructor, we have 2 ways to do it. We have in-person certifications listed on WERQfitness.com/training. And then we have also training on Zoom. So it's a live training with one of our online master trainers. And our certification is 1 day. You get AFA and ACE and NASM credits. It is a subscription program. So after you finish the 1 day training, then you can sign up for monthly or annual subscription. Our monthly is $18. Our annual is $175 for the year. So not the cheapest, but not the most expensive.
Yeah.
We tried to price it, so that we know what group fitness instructors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have a special code for your listeners.
Yes, you do? Oh, that's exciting. What is it? So put it in the show notes. What's that?
Yeah, it's called Confessions 25. And $25 off of our training. So you can get some CECUs, even if you never, teach WERQ. It's a fun training.
Yeah, we need CECUs. And honestly, like there are a lot of our listeners are also warrior instructors, of course, because they know me. So it's easy for me to podcast to them, and we don't have a dance format, so they really might be in the market for one. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for letting me plug.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want us all to win. So okay, we gotta wrap. What do you have a confession for us?
I do. And I was debating between a few, but like we touched on some like deeper, like heavier topics during the podcast. So I'm gonna keep it light in the confession. But this is one that my team loves because we were at Midwest Mania, right, in Chicago for SCW. This would have been in my long hair days. So probably like 2016 or 2015. Anyway, we have this crazy rockin' session. We're on stage and I've got my whole team there, which is probably like at that point, like maybe 14 of us. They're at SCW. We're showing out. We've got all of our, WERQ gear on. We've got a packed, it's a packed session, probably 80 people. We felt great about it. And, it was a workout session. It wasn't, a lecture or anything like that. And so the playlist is set. My whole team knows what they're doing. Different people will lead it. And so I am leading, I'm the owner of this thing, right? I'm the boss. And so I'm leading, and I've got my team behind me, and they know the choreography because we know. Not only that, we, out of this 80, group of 80, probably half of them were WERQ instructors. So they know the choreography too. So we get up there and I'm doing 7-Eleven by Beyonce. And I just get stuck. Like, I don't know where my head was. I'm sure I was thinking about like, this is so amazing, so this is my confession. When I was a young girl growing up dancing, I have stage fright. I have performance anxiety. It just happens, right? My sister was the performer, could always cheese it up and da 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 da. And I was the one that would look down. I would nail all the choreography, but I don't know what you call it. And so I every once in a while it creeps back in, and so I am doing like this move for like 32 counts, and I'm so aware. And my team behind me, I'm like, I know, like I'm just like, so I'm stuck for like 32 counts doing this like same move.
Not that long, 32.
Right. Oh, it's so long. It's so long. Okay. And it felt, when you mess up,
yes,
it is like slow motion. You're like, ooh, this is happening.
Like a nightmare, like a slow motion nightmare.
I was living my nightmare of, totally like had no idea where I was in the song. Like, the problem was we were ready to kill that song because it was newish then. And like everyone was about to like kill it. And so eventually it would come back to me, and I finished the song and I didn't mess up, the rest of the time. But every time I do, so since then I've done 7-Eleven many times to redeem myself, be like, I got this. And of course I've been on stage a million times since then. But my team, they know this about me, is every once in a while they're like, she's gonna get stuck. But it happens to the best of us. And I try to roll with it and keep a smile on my face and just like breathe through it. But that's my confession. Not my finest moment, but it was for all to see on stage.
I love your confession. And I loved getting to know you a little bit. I knew I would connect with you on the girl boss level. I didn't expect you to be so just self-deprecating and real and easy. So
thank you for putting me on, Ellen. I knew this would go well too. I listened to your podcast with Ruben, and I'm a follower. I'm a fan now, so you'll see me pop in. And
we should do another one later, like later about, because I know you wanted to speak about like diversity and inclusion, and Ruben has told me some pretty amazing things about how you guys scooped him up as a community, and I as a culture I care very much about too, and so we should have a conversation about that 6 months or so from now.
I mean, you know how to get a hold of me, and I'm sure that we'll be on each other's social media now that we're on each other's radar. But much respect to you and your podcast. To your listeners for wanting to professionally and personally grow. I appreciate you for having me on, and I look forward to connecting again.
Yeah, thank you. And bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.